That's okay. I'll start all over again. Welcome to the Board of Skagit Board of Directors, Skagit Transit Board of Directors. It's July 17th, 2024, 11 a.m. And we're here for our monthly board meeting. And let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and have our roll call.
Commissioner Browning,
Here.
Commissioner Janicki, Commissioner Wiesen,
Here.
Mayor Donovan, Mayor Johnson, Mayor Miller, Mayor Aslett,
Present.
Councilperson Stavik,
Here.
Councilperson Vanderstoep, Judy Jones,
Here.
and Colleen Kennedy.
Great, thank you. Is there any public comment written? Nothing, no public comment. Has anyone here to join us with public comment? Seeing no response?
Chat. Is there a chat? Oh.
Okay. All right, seeing no response, we'll move forward. The consent agenda. Remember always that all matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Skagit Transit Board of Directors for reading and study and are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion of the board with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired, then that item may be removed from the consent agenda items and placed on regular action items by consent. Is there anything that anyone wishes to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, again, seeing none, we'll move forward. I would entertain a motion to approve the June, there's a consent agenda.
So moved.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded. Any further conversation? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Great. Approval of the meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve June meeting minutes.
That was the.
That was part of this whole thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops. I was looking at that, trying to figure out where I was. Okay, back to full discussion, action items. We need to approve the HB Hansen change order number 10. And for that, do I go to you, Crystal?
10 and 11. Yep, I'll take this one. On May 19th, 2021, the board approved contract number 19-014-F for phase 1 construction of the MOAT facility with HB Hansen Construction in the amount of just over $2.8 million. To date, the board has approved change orders 1 through 9, totaling just over 2.9, almost 2.952. Staff would like to present to you for your consideration, change order 10 dated June 20th, 2024, totaling $96,137.38, and change order 11 dated July 10th, 2024, totaling $113,324.66. Change order 10 includes 25 calendar days needed to accommodate a relocation. There's a whole bunch. Do you want me to go over everything? Okay. And change order 11 adds 36 days. Staff together with our architect have reviewed and authorized change orders 10 and 11. Staff recommends the board approve the listed change orders for MOA2 construction contract, and the budget impact to that is $209,462.04. And the contract time will be extended to August 22nd of 2024, and that's for substantial completion.
Questions?
So this takes it to 11 change orders. How many more are we expecting? That seems like a lot.
This project has been complicated, as everybody here knows. We are expecting one more change order, change order 12, and we're expecting that to be approximately $55,000, and that should be the last.
I got it.
Okay, so we're expecting just one more. So when I was looking at these numbers, we initially contracted with Hansen Construction for $2 million. this
2.8,
2 million?
yeah, we're now over 6.1.
Yeah, it's 6,046,252.88 with these, and then could you give me that number for number?
Includes sales tax either. What number did you need?
For number 12, you said this,
Oh, we're
50
expecting that to be approximately $55,000.
when do you think that will come before this board?
It'll have to come next month because substantial completion is August 22nd.
And so the thought is that will be the last one. I'm sorry. Yeah. Because I just think, my thought is when you're initially, I mean, I get it that, we had brought this up in our city council meeting that sometimes you get a bidder that comes in with a number like this 2.8. And then the next thing, you got 12 change orders that amount to much more than what the initial bid came in at,
Yeah,
Let me give a little bit of history because this really started before Crystal was here. So in fairness, the project was, the estimate was done by the architect originally, and the bid was based on the architectural drawings. As soon as construction started on this project, some of the elements that were designed were not buildable. There were, some people saw the like metal awnings that were over doorways sagged under a 6-inch snow load that we happened to get at the first steps of construction. They were designed to have no columns underneath, so they were cantilevered out. And so there were pauses put in place as we did change orders, both with the architect and the contractor, and some calls were made by the Director O'Brien at the time to put the columns in because the common sense would say those awnings are going to fail. And then there was also constructability around the design of even windows. And this is a renovation of an existing metal building. And so the process that had to go through to make sure that we could actually build what the intent of the design was, the project was put on pause for a substantial amount of time as that constructability evaluation was also done. So I guess it's been, the design was done way before COVID, and then COVID delays this project further. And so the whole thing, both in timing and mostly in constructability and building what we thought transit was going to get and what actually needed to be done to an old building to get what transit had designed, were just that far apart. I don't know.
and the energy requirements were a big factor in that. That alone was over $1.2 million.
The roof, the whole, you're right.
Well, but it was the so it was the insulation that had to be added. The decision ultimately was made to put insulation on top of the roof and then put a new roof on the existing roof. So that change order alone was very costly.
So it's really a design redo and not, I get it when a contractor kind of piecemeals you out and, but in the end, we're going to have, the building is up to code and, all those access points are going to be covered and not fall down.
Councilmember Stavik, we've had a couple of new board members this year, Mayor Aslett and Mayor Donovan. When I first came on board, I ended up creating a PowerPoint presentation with the assistance of staff, of course, to kind of give the board a presentation for the new members that were with us last year, kind of a history of the project. And it was a really good learning experience for me too, because it kind of helped me to understand how the project progressed or didn't progress and the costs associated with that. So why don't I send over, I know that I've already sent that PowerPoint presentation over to Mayor Aslett and Mayor Donovan. I don't believe I've sent it to you yet. So why don't I send that to you? I did that, I want to say it was April or May of last year. And so that will kind of give you the history of up to like, May of last year. And then if you want, I'm happy with staff to sit down with you and go over any other budget impacts that we've seen or delays or anything else so that you have a full understanding of the project and scope as well. Okay, I'll send that to you today.
It might be also helpful for the entire board to then, at our next board meeting, see the next planned phases, which have been combined into one giant phase, but as we're looking for funding for that, just to make sure that the board implicitly understands the scope and what all is included in the rest of the construction project.
Okay, I do have an update on MOA two in general, but we can do that. We also, if the board chooses, we could do another full presentation at the board retreat, kind of like backtracking. Why don't we plan on doing that? That way everybody is on the same page in terms of the cost, because it has more than.
That's a better idea, and thank you. The board retreat would be a great place.
And
'cause
October, as long
it's
as
a
everyone's waiting
huge-
until
It's a
October.
huge project.
And then, of course, we'll give, I meet with all of you guys outside of the board meetings and give you guys updates, but so that it's public, we can do it in October, and that it'll be a better, more time so that we can give a full presentation, since we're really limited on these meetings, unfortunately.
Commissioner Brennan,
Yes.
on this change order, the needed to accommodate relocation of electrical gear, can you explain that, or? I don't understand, the electrical gear was there and they moved it,
But
or
we needed to move it to put the windows in.
we didn't know that ahead of time?
We did.
Okay,
So,
we're gonna change
again,
it.
without publicly talking too much about it, it's one of the things that we're addressing potentially through mediation. Yeah, yes, thank you. That's what I should have
With,
said.
with the former architect, yes. All right. Well, Crystal, you've been showing us constantly your attempts to be quite frugal. We appreciate that. And you inherited a bit of a mess, and we appreciate that. But I also am grateful to Councilman Member Stavik for kind of asking the questions, because
It's a lot. Every time I look at the fact that this project is more than doubled just for phase one, we're only talking about, I don't even want to tell you guys what phases 2 and 3 looks like, although I'm going to. It's for us, it's very alarming, really, but.
Sure. So on some of your emails, isn't there a thought that maybe there's going to be additional phases based on some of this funding?
There's definitely going to be
There's
additional
def-
phases.
Yeah, that's coming. Okay, thank you.
We're not done yet. It's an empty shell right now. Looks great though on the outside. Never know what it looked like on the inside.
All right, so Cheryl Willis, you were unmuted. Are you no longer wanting to talk, or is that just we're okay? Okay. All right, well, good. It has been moved. Was it seconded?
Second.
Was it moved?
I thought,
I'll move, I would.
I thought you did. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did. Okay. It's been, okay, so
Yes.
we have a move?
For Seeka Zoom, this is Janicki. I move to approve the change orders as described.
And I second.
Great. So moved and seconded. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing, seeing none. It passes. Great. Thank you. All right. We are now to information items, CEO update.
How about we do 6B? Approved contract 19005.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was losing track again. Sheesh. I didn't, I got my eyes fixed for long distance, and I'm not reading very well. I didn't bring my reading glasses, so
I
if
got
I
you.
squint or do like this.
I got you.
All right, approved contract number 19, Mortensen's sign extension.
Thank you. Mortensen Signs provides Skagit Transit with customized signs and wraps for our buses and bus stops. Our contract with them began August 1st, 2019 and ended July 31st, 2022 with the option of 2 additional 1-year contracts, which we exercised. Our last extension was from August 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 2024. The new extension would be from August 1st, 2024 to January 31st, 2025. Another extension is sought to allow adequate time to complete the procurement process in line with Skagit Transit's procurement policy and applicable state laws. The inability to plan and initiate a competitive procurement process has led to the situation And the extension aims to prevent potential work stoppages or unauthorized expenses. If a new contract is awarded prior to January 31st, 2025, then this contract will be terminated. We're recommending that you approve this extension. The budget impact is, we're estimating $21,556.59 for 6 months. And, we have one more, contract that we're gonna be asking for approval, so I think this board knows that we've had some challenges in procurements that it came forth in our triennial audit and in the last couple of months, we've had contracts that have expired that we brought to you. We are in the process. We brought in our previous grants manager back. She's now assisting with contracts and procurements. And we've posted that position on Monday. The previous employee has separated and we posted that position on Monday to fill for a permanent position. So we're hoping that once we get a new person in place, that we will have all of our, at least start working on getting all of our contracts and procurements and files in place. So.
Questions?
Question. Budget impact 21,000. So these are so much a month we're paying for work done.
So most of this is bus wraps. So for example, we've got 5 new buses that are going to be arriving any day. So that will come out of this budget.
I'm assuming the contract says this is what those things are, or is it listed? Like ours at the county is so much an hour, or so much of this, or so much for that. It's a billed rate. Is that what this is, or this is just a included package?
So we have costs associated with wraps. Is that what you're asking? So
That's what
like
I'm asking,
this,
yeah.
we have costs for services, yes,
Cost for services.
built into the contract, yes.
Yep.
So this number, I mean, that kind of ties to this number that you came up with is figuring these 5 buses these new buses that you're talking about, right?
And then actually retract that because I believe those come already wrapped because those are about $10,000 a piece. So I know that we purchased some signage that will go under this. Honestly, the 21,000 that we budgeted for the remainder of the year, I don't anticipate us using that. However, I just want to make sure that if we do have services that we need to purchase through them, that we're in compliance with the contract while we go out to bid for this again.
Okay, so, and then this procurement process that you're working on and getting honed in on, is that gonna, when this thing is done and this extension is done, you plan on putting this out for bid to all other, is that is what the process is that you?
That actually may have gone out already. I'd have to look at our website because we're dealing with a couple and I kind of get them all mixed up, but yes, we're definitely going, if we haven't put that out for bid already, that will go out for bid.
Yeah, for the sign, that's how this stuff works, part of this procurement process, right? We put it out for bid for people to bid on wrapping the buses. Oh, okay, thank you.
Else? Yes.
So I would move to approve the extension for contract 19-005 for Mortensen Signs.
Moved by Commissioner Weissen, seconded by Mayor Aslett. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Great, that one passes. All right, the appointment of the new clerk of the board. I'm assuming that's why Ms. Burrows is here and we're losing Ms. Klein.
We
And
probably, to be consistent, we probably should have put the other contract next, but we didn't. So let's do this one. This is to approve resolution 2024-06, appoint the clerk of the board. The executive assistant, Laura Clerk, has been serving as the clerk of the board since May of 2023. Laura has given her resignation and will be leaving on Friday, July 19th, 2024. A successful candidate has been found to fill the position and will be assuming the role and responsibilities of the clerk of the board effective upon approval of this resolution. The position of the board of the clerk of Skagit Transit performs the following duties in accordance with the bylaws of Skagit Transit policies. Record and maintain accurate minutes, maintain a record of all resolutions passed by the board, ensure proper notification to the public for board meetings, assist in the preparation and distribution of meeting agendas and materials, ensures the safekeeping of all official documents and records of the board, and carries out all other duties as assigned. Staff recommends the board approve resolution 2024-06, appointing the new executive assistant, Mary Burrows. Welcome, Mary. as clerk of the board to Skagit Transit.
Ms. Burrows, we've been grateful the time you've been here. You've been great. And so you leave, or Ms. Klein, and I'm sorry you're leaving. Really, and I'm hoping you're going off to something really fun and different, but we will miss you.
It's been a pleasure to work with this board.
And Ms. Burrows, congratulations, welcome. We look forward to, and I really appreciate, again, there's been some time between the two, so you can get acclimated to the job. Thank you, Crystal. That's really good.
2 days. She gets 2 days. That's it.
Yeah, well, I hope you learned quick.
Well, the good news is Laura was smart enough to put together a, what did you call that document? An executive assistant survival guide. Yeah. She's been spending the last couple of weeks, and it's a pretty in-depth document. So thank you, Laura, for doing that. And to speak about Mary, she comes to us with many years of experience managing a C-suite and working with the board. So we're grateful to have her on board.
Laura will miss your smile. But yeah. All right. So we need a motion to approve this.
Yeah, according to the bylaws.
Resolution 2024-06, appoint clerk of the board.
Oh,
It's been moved by Mayor Aslett, second by Council Member Stavig. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you. And again, welcome and sorry to see you go. Approval of contact number 19-003, an extension for Les Schwab.
Skagit Transit uses Les Schwab for emergency roadside assistance and wheel alignment. Our contract with them began September 1st, 2019 and ended August 31st, 2021 with 2 option years, which we exercised. Our last extension was from September 1st, 2023 to August 31st, 2024. I'm happy to point out on this one that we're actually coming to you before it expired. This new extension would be from September 1st, 2024 to February 5th, 2025. And again, another extension is requested for the same reasons we requested the last one. This either has or will go out to bid already. And again, there will be a language in this contract extension that states that if a new contract is awarded prior to the extension of this extension expiring rather, that this one will terminate. Estimated budget impact is $20,000 for 6 months, which is already included in the 2024 budget. Staff is recommending the board approve the extension of contract 19-003-F for Les Schwab.
And just for all of our information, is this stuff that's done in the Les Schwab shop, or is this a roadside assistance, or both?
Wheel alignments are done in shop, and then the roadside emergency services that they provide are, like, for example, if a bus breaks down on the road, they'll come and tow it, fix it, whatever we need them to do roadside. Fortunately, we have a shop that takes great care of our buses, and we don't have to utilize the service often. The original contract of this was to purchase tires too, and we found another provider. Actually, I think we're getting them off the state contract now, so we're getting tires a lot cheaper. So we took that service out of this original contract.
Huge. That sounds like a huge project. Okay. Any other questions? All right.
I'd move to approve the contract number 19-003 with F with Les Schwab extension.
Motion by Commissioner Weason, second by Commissioner Janicki. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes also. All right, now we can move on to the CEO update.
Okay, so we kind of touched on this a little bit. Work is progressing on MOA 2. You guys already approved change orders 10 and 11. And we talked about change order 55 or change order 12 rather being approximately $55,000. The other 2 things that we need to discuss, or that I need to report to the board, is we have received a 90% completion estimate of phases 2 and 3. And the reason that we kind of asked for that preemptively is because we're still trying to move forward with the TIFIA application, pre-application. So our architect was kind enough to give us a pre 90% completion estimate. That estimate is coming in anywhere between 39 and $44 million. And I know it's been over a year since I gave the presentation on this, but and this board's been obviously overseeing this project far before I got here, but the original estimate for phases 2 and 3 were about $19 million. We inflated that to 29, just building in inflationary costs. And now we're looking at between 39 and $44 million. One caveat to that though is that that does include things that were not included in the original 19 or $29 million, such as taxes, construction management support. The equipment is a big one. That was not included in the original estimate, and that those fees, or right now they're estimating those around $9 million, which I think is a bit high. We'll drill that down better as we get the real estimate from them. So of that 44, approximately 9 million as of right now is those other costs that weren't built in originally anyways. But yes, it's very shocking to see that number, because you know, you're looking at a building that's worth over $50 million at this point. And that doesn't even include any of the other stuff that we'd like to do eventually, like add potentially a microgrid hydrogen fueling that's just for buildings A and B. So we're still working towards a 100% design, and we should have that within the next 30 days or so. And then after we receive that from the architect, we'll have a more precise estimate of what phases 2 and 3 are going to look like. But I feel like that's probably pretty close.
So that
Very-
100% increase is more, part of it was just necessary components of it that were not added in the original. It's not 100% inflationary response. It's
True, yeah, it
about a
was
50%
costs
inflationary
that weren't
response.
captured
50%
originally. I
just
mean,
failed.
they were literally just looking at the cost to build, but you really have to factor in all of the costs associated with it, not just look at the, 19 or 29, because you can't avoid those other costs. So we really probably have been reporting it that way to begin with. But I guess we were just looking purely at construction costs. So if there's no question, I have some more stuff on MOA too. So if you have nothing further on this, I'll just
And
continue.
again, just so where was that ball dropped? It wasn't the architect, it was the contract manager. It's kind of the,
Oh, I'm not gonna necessarily say that anyone dropped the ball. It was just that we historically or previously were just reporting construction costs, but at this point, especially when myself and Chris and Eric, the project manager, and the architect started really going over the numbers and adding in all those costs, like you really should be adding in the equipment cost, because you need that for the new shop. So when that's in excess of $1 million, we should be capturing that in the total estimate, because you can't run a shop without it. You have to pay sales tax. There's other fees that were not just captured in the original. So I'm not gonna say anybody was doing anything wrong or reporting incorrectly, but I just feel like it gives the board a more accurate picture to include all those costs that we have to pay for anyways.
and again, I have to emphasize, you did not create this, you inherited this. So this is not.
Yes, thank you.
And
I'm
that's
gonna
really,
keep saying that
it's
too.
really, really important. We got to keep reminding.
I'll just
And-
take credit when it's
Yeah,
done.
so we appreciate you getting this straight. So very much appreciate so. Any other questions that,
Well, I have more on MOA too.
okay, that's good.
As the board recalls, I've mentioned this many times over the course of the last probably 8 or 9 months or so. We believe that we were overpaying on sales tax, because there are certain portions of the building that we're exempt from paying taxes on. So on the advice of our attorney, or the guidance of our attorney, we stopped paying sales tax on this project probably September of last year. The architect has finally finished the analysis of that. And I'm grateful that we stopped paying sales taxes, because as of right now, we've still overpaid by just about $80,000. So we're going to continue withholding sales tax through the remainder of the payment applications. And then we'll work with HB Hand, I shouldn't say the name, the construction company and the DOR to recover those sales taxes that we overpaid. So some good news for once. Any questions on that particular piece?
So with the sales tax deal, I'm sorry, thank you. So this is on the advice of of the attorney, you said, to not pay the sales tax on the invoices?
No, the guidance of our attorney, he was fine with us withholding sales tax until this issue got resolved because we believed that we had already paid more than what was going to be required for this project. Turns out that's why we pay him a lot of money. He was right. We've still overpaid by $80,000.
I mean, so when I hear stuff like this, I mean, I see a Department of Revenue audit coming in the future that you're not.
I've done 5 audits since I've been here, so it's fine.
Right, but so I mean that you're keeping track of all that because obviously an audit's probably gonna be forthcoming, I would imagine.
We have all the
Be all
documentation.
ready for
Yeah,
that.
I mean, between us and the construction company, the construction management person, and our current project manager, we have all of the documentation that we need to. I'm not worried about an audit.
Sure. And so how did we overpay on the, explain that just real quick on the overpayment?
So I'm gonna repeat what Commissioner Browning said. I was not here at the beginning of this contract.
Sure.
When the contract with the contractor was originally set up, it did not include the language that required the contractor to figure out the parts of the building of the project that we didn't have to pay sales tax on. So because of that, it was a real challenge. We've been asking them for years to reconcile this. And that was really the ultimate decision in us deciding to stop paying sales tax, because after asking them for years, I'm not joking, since like 2021 to figure this out, we stopped paying sales taxes until they did this analysis and determined what we actually should have been paying on this versus what we were paying. So to answer your question more directly, it wasn't written into the contract that they need to figure out the portion of the project that we were tax exempt from. So it was a struggle getting them to go back and figure that out.
Well, how did we find that out about, I don't know anything about portions that would be tax exempt. How did Skagit Transit find that out?
So I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Our grants manager was the one that figured this out. And it was collaboration. We have all of the emails and the exchanges back and forth from the Department of Revenue, back from even way before I got here, that solidified, yes, you are, and it spells out exactly what we're exempt from paying sales tax on. So again, to your point, if we do get audited, we've got all the proper documentation and not recommendation, but the what's the word I'm looking for, from the DOR, like the DOR made this,
Guidance.
they provide, thank you, they provided some guidance and said, yes, under Rule 171, all transit agencies are, and I'm not sure if that expands beyond transit agencies, because we're just looking at transit agencies are exempt from paying sales taxes on, and then they listed that out, so.
Is this the grants manager that's retired or retired?
Yes, the one that we're bringing
that-
back on.
Oh, that's coming back. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
So she was really,
fantastic. That's
she
great.
was really the one that not only discovered that this had been omitted, but she was instrumental in creating the spreadsheet and working with the contractor and our project manager she really did honestly a plug and play. She created a spreadsheet and she was like, here, I did all the work for you, just plug in the numbers. And even still, it was a bit of a struggle to get the contractor to go back and figure that out. So with prodding from us, they finally did this analysis, and now we know we overpaid, so.
So I appreciate all the work that has been done in-house, because there was also conflicting opinion over whether the project could be apportioned like this into different components. So really appreciate you asking, because it's really not a straightforward piece, and there was accounting recommendation that the whole thing is taxable. If part of it is, then the whole thing is, and so it had gone back and forth a bit. My question is that going into an even larger dollar volume project, are we going, has this taught us anything about if there's an apportioned project for sales tax, that something is done differently up front in the bid documents, or how the project costs are broken out or coded into the system so that you don't have to go back and recreate the documentation?
100%. So one of the pieces I feel like we probably missed when doing this contract originally is correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see anywhere that there was review from our council. So we have a separate contract attorney that's helping us specifically with just this project. They've helped us do the bid document when we went out to for RFP for the architect, and my goal is to continue using them since they have the knowledge of this entire project now. They're the ones that hired the architect to come in and do the study regarding the errors and omissions. So we're definitely going to use them when we write the contract for moving forward and make sure that this language is included so we don't end up having to do that. And ruling was the word I was looking for. I don't know why when it comes to me, a ruling on what was exempt and not exempt for the tax bases. So if there's nothing else on that specifically, I'll continue. Still talking about MOA 2. I did send all of this to the board as just simply an information item, but for the sake of the public, I will repeat that. I am disappointed to report that we did not receive the Lono grant to assist in completing phases 2 and 3 of the project. And as you guys recall, we did not receive the RAISE grant either. We will be submitting a request for $9 million for the Green Transportation Act grant. The application is due September 12th, 2024, and awards will be announced sometime in the May-June timeframe, subject to budget bill enactment. It is important for this board to know that that grant is 76.7% funded by the Climate Commitment Act. And so if that act is repealed, then 3/4 of that money is no longer available to. So we'll have a better idea about that, obviously, in November when that goes to the voters. And again, we are continuing to search. We have even though our grants manager has retired, we have another very competent grants person that we've hired, and she's doing a fabulous job of continually searching the market to see what grants are available to us, and we'll continue to search out and apply for every grant opportunity that's available to us to get this project done. But in saying so, I think it was to your point, Councilmember Stavic, my original goal in doing phases 2 and 3 was to try to do that, to combine them and do that as one phase, because time is money. We're no longer going to be able to do that. We're going to just to be able to go after funding, we're going to have to phase that out and finish building A. And then while we're trying to find funding the whole time, and then, try to find funding for B, for building B. At this point, we don't have the full estimate of A and B yet because we're at pre 90%. So we're asking the architect to do 2 things, get us to 100% design, and then also break that out into 2 and 3. And then we'll have a better idea of what those cost individually so that we can go after the funding. But I believe phase 2 was coming in at, if my memory serves me correctly, just, kind of off the cuff thing, they're thinking around $16 million. That being said, as the board recalls, we still have a $5 million bus and bus facilities grant that we can draw down on that. And we do have $10 million in reserves. However, as all of you know, since you work with grants too, you have to note none of the grants are just given to us, they're all reimbursed. So we have to have some money in reserves to be able to get the grants to be reimbursed. So ideally, we're not spending down our entire $10 million on phases 2 because we have to have money to get reimbursed for phases 3. So again, that's kind of where we're going to continue looking for grant funds, but that's where we're hoping that the TIFIA loan can come in and assist us with getting this project done.
Crystal, this morning we were in the Transportation Policy Board meeting, and Kevin Murphy mentioned that he would be meeting with Transit this afternoon. And the reason I bring it up is because when I asked the question of what are the nexus points or the points of intersection with Transit's capital plans, long-term plans, and what's on our regional transportation plan at the Transportation Policy Board level, what's on the comprehensive economic development strategy that SCOG is putting together. And the answer was, it's always been a light touch. Legislative rules now will make that integration with transit and these regional plans more important, and not even just regional, but sometimes it's integrated with just a city plan. There may be something that goes through the city of, oh, he's not even there, Burlington, be James. That goes onto their plan, but it isn't of regional significance. So the transit plan should also be mentioned in their comprehensive economic development strategy. But since we're all redoing these very large plans, and given what you've brought to this, to Skagit Transit in terms of knowledge and larger thinking, honestly, as to how integrated Skagit Transit needs to be in our planning efforts for good transportation and good housing and connectivity. Commissioner Brown will always say to the, for people who need to get to the grocery store via transit. So in your great way of doing it, I'm just hoping that you're asking all those questions of, if I need to get funding, if transit needs to get funding, whose plans do I need to be included in, by reference in order to be eligible for these regional planning, regional funding opportunities. So I don't think there's too many questions that you can ask about that. And we've, as Kevin Murphy said, it's always been kind of a light touch with transit. And I think we just need a much more intentional touch with transit.
100% agree. So I was invited to and attended my first SCOG meeting. I think it was about 2 months ago now. So I'll continue to partner with them and ingratiate myself, if you will, into, because like you said, what we're doing is what it's important for the Growth Management Act, for housing. It's all integrated, the housing stuff that we deal with, that we work on. So I'll definitely continue working with Kevin and SCOG to make sure that our plans are in line with yours in the counties and the cities and vice versa. I feel like we've already started doing that, but
Not necessarily aligned, it's also included in. That's the important thing.
Okay,
It has to be
yeah.
included in.
well, like, for example, to your point, when we applied for the economic development grant, that was the first time that I had heard of that. So I need to actually connect. I feel like one of the key players in Skagit County that I haven't connected with yet is the executive director from the economic development. And I need to connect with him, and I will make sure that I do that, but it's on my to-do list.
And SCOG is, an umbrella organization that oversees a lot of different pieces. So Transportation Policy Board meets separately, but transit has a nexus there too, from SCOG, who's doing the comprehensive economic development strategy and the growth management work. So it's not, so SCOG, the umbrella, there's multiple touch points that SCOG oversees. So SCOG Board of Directors and the Transportation Policy Board, very similar in composition, but two different functionalities. So Kevin will know, but he was outlining that today at our meeting earlier as to where those touch points could be stronger.
Okay. I've been to the last couple of those and I plan on coming this morning, but I had to finish up some stuff for the board report. And I'll mention this to Kevin again. I tried to join remotely and it wasn't working. Not sure if that's our end or his, but I did try to join remotely again and it didn't work. So
Still also need to approve the update for the public records policy.
We skipped that.
But
the update for what?
I missed the approval of the public records
said it.
act policy.
Well, that was part of consent. Did we want to? Oh, it is on mine. Oh, we sent an updated packet on Monday
Yeah.
and I had her move that into
Oh,
consent.
okay.
We're happy to pull it and discuss it if you
Fine,
want to.
'cause it's- we all read it, I know.
I think we have to take action on my agenda. It's separate.
It's separate on mine also, so.
Was that, can you confirm that that was included in the packet that we sent out, the update that we sent out on Monday?
Yeah, it was in, because that's what it shows on ours.
Okay,
And I pulled this from the list.
You sent it out twice, and commissioners, when we get our packets for our weekly agenda, we get them on Thursday, we look at them during the weekend, and then we have them going forward. And when you send out two different updates, I have a hard time, because I already read the first one, and then they come back, and I'm supposed to read the second one, and so it's more difficult for me, so I didn't catch it before, so I would have moved to approve the public Records Act policy as presented in our updated version.
I apologize for that. We ended up having to make some changes in the actual policy, the EEO and the Title VI policy. And so when I said to Laura, since we're sending out an updated packet, why don't you just move that to consent? So we try really hard not to have to send out updated packets because I want to give you guys enough, time to review them.
Want to make sure our records are there clear so people know that we looked at it and so forth.
So you did move.
I did move to put that.
Well, I'll second it so we can discuss it. I think, so it shows as a separate item on my agenda too, and Councilmember Stavic has the same copy of the agenda, but I think this is a perfect time to talk about what kind of public records requests that come in and how much because I think every public, city, towns, transit are just seeing such an escalation in public records requests, almost to the point of, it's not a technical term, but it's abusive of the time of
It really is.
government employees to have to spend so much. So I appreciate that this is a proactive step towards that. So maybe you can just kind of describe the number of hours or the number of, why are we having to put this into place?
So we did this for two different reasons. The primary reason was because there was an RCW that just came out, and Laura, please correct me if I'm misspeaking, but that came out, the state court, help me out here, the state courts decided that public agencies now needed to provide requesters a closure letter so that requesters knew when the request was actually completed. So that was the driving force of doing an update. And then since we were updating it to include that and a template of the letter, which we got from MRSC, we also went ahead and added time limits for working on public records requests. And because you're right, we're a very small agency, job duty, if you will, was originally assigned to the CFO / director of finance. And as everybody knows, that position's been vacant for almost a year now. So I moved it over to Laura so that we could start processing some of these requests. We went from getting 2 to 3 requests a year, small requests that were not very time consuming, to getting multiple requests that were large in scope, that some of them will honestly take us years to get through. And so because we are a small agency and Laura does have a workload outside of just doing public requests, we added time limitations on how long she and staff could work on public records requests. And you're right, there are a lot of requests coming in that really feel abusive and they're for personal gain.
So I know here in Burlington, we have probably every agency has the same issue, these other requests that are coming, speaking in this thing. So every public agency probably has these issues with this, like you said, almost abusive in a way that people are just consuming a lot of time. So I take it this RCW, now you just mentioned about the closure letter, but it does allow you to put time limits, I would imagine.
That was already there before. The ability to put time limits was already on there before. And when we drafted this originally, we had time limits in there and I had Laura remove them. But to Commissioner Janicki's point, the abuse of people just doing these public records requests, we felt that it was necessary to put some parameters on how long she and staff can work on those, because she's got another job.
Sure.
We all have other jobs, not just doing public records.
What
requests.
about fees? That's one thing that we've recently instituted here in Burlington regarding, I don't know, like copy fees and stuff like that. Can't you charge fees for, I can see, not that I'm a big fan of all of that, because there are maybe some people that are legitimately wanting some information, but in order to curtail this kind of stuff, where we could charge a fee, we probably should charge a fee, for copying and whatever we can do.
Well, I think the RCW has some specific things we can do. If it's electronic, you can't charge them a thing, but if it's a paper print, you can. I think the RCW says that.
It does. It specifically spells that out. And fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure which to say, all of our requests have been electronic. We've received no requests for physical paper documents.
But what some folks don't understand is, so we got a singular request of my email just recently, and there's a nexus point with transit, but it generated 39,000 possible responses. And it's not like you can just like zip that out and send out those email, because there's a requirement to go through and make sure nothing needs to be redacted for legal purposes. And we have not yet implemented AI, and I'm not that I'm wanting to, but that would probably be the, what people think is a solution. But the county specifically said, we're going to work this many hours a week on this one public records request, plus the other 500 that the county gets. So it is incredibly time intensive for staff to have to deal with those kind of requests.
And we are probably talking about the same request. We've asked for that scope to be narrowed to try to expedite the process of delivering those records, and the requester has elected not to narrow the scope. So it's going to take us probably years to put to get through some of these.
All right, we got some real time issues coming up here quickly. So
Okay, let's
we
do-
have a movement or a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I really appreciate the transcribing up here. That is so accurate. I don't know what program you're using, but it's so stinking accurate.
Probably AI.
It's fantastic. I love it. So, all right, next you have the June ridership report.
So can I go through, can I run through my update real quick? My CEO
Yeah,
update?
just quickly.
Okay, recruitments really quickly. Grants manager is in the process of relocating still. She has sold her house and is looking for housing up here. We conducted a second interview with the candidate for the director of finance position. We're still discussing internally about fit for the organization. We job offered 4 candidates for the bus driver class that was supposed to start today. One withdrew, one was unable to pass the physical. We're hoping to fast track those and then start another class if we need to. Operations KPIs. So I want to start reporting some statistics that we haven't been reporting historically. The purpose of this, I want to make it really clear that the purpose of this is not to project negatively on our bus drivers, but I think it's important for the board to know where we stand in terms of long-term absences, unscheduled absences, canceled routes, and overtime. So I'll give some really quick statistics. Right now, we have on average about 12 to 13 drivers out per month. And those are typically protected absences, FMLA, PFML. Unscheduled absences, we don't have the numbers drilled down for that right now because our software doesn't allow us to do that. Last month, this is specifically for June, I'm talking about, we canceled 50.5 hours of service. And we had, our overtime was over $78,607. We only budgeted $500,000 for this year. So we're going to come in far above that, which obviously, given all the funding we've lost this year, we can't afford that. So that's just to kind of put on your guys' radar, and I'll start reporting on that monthly so that you guys have an idea. I also want to say that the 50.5 hours that we canceled, we also have supervisors driving often, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. So these numbers are a bit skewed because we're trying not to cancel service. So we're putting a supervisor in the seat, but then that means they're not doing their real job. So we're working with AFSCME to try to work on our unscheduled absence, and we'll continue working collaboratively towards that. Really quick on our triennial, again, I sent some information out about that. We had 8 preliminary findings. One of which we've already cured. We're working on 2 others right now. Our biggest issues were with our procurement, and which we've talked about here today, and our DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise. The most troubling piece about that is we haven't filed a DBE report since December of 22. So that's a report that has to be filed twice a year. So we're missing December of 22, June and December of 2023, and we still haven't submitted June of 2024. So that's on Chris and my radar to start working on. It's a very comprehensive report, so it's going to take us a while to get that done. That will not be done in time for the draft to come out. So we will be getting findings or deficiencies on these, as well as the 2 procurement. There's no fixing that. One of them was a sole source that was not done correctly. back in 2022, I believe it was. And another contract that didn't have the required FTA clauses in it. So there's no going back and fixing that. So moving forward, we'll just work on making sure our contracts are compliant. Governance committee has only met once since the last board meeting. I'll be sending out policies that are ready to review sometime. It'll probably take me this weekend to get it out. Community transit, we're still working on an interlocal agreement with community transit for them to be able to provide service to the Sauk Seattle area. They're not sure if that has to go to their board for review. I definitely want it to go to ours. If they need to take it to their board, it's going to take at least 2 months because they do a first review and then a vote. So, but they're not planning on starting that service until the end of the year. So as soon as they get that approved by their board, if that's what they elect to do, then I'll bring that to our board for approval. Ridership report, not a lot's changed there. We're still down 35% on fixed route and 4% on paratransit. The one thing that I do want to highlight is we had over 5,100 rides last month that were youth-free rides. And that's really critical to mention because our CCA is tied to that. We're required to provide youth-free fares under the CCA Act. So I think one of the things that the board needs to start thinking about, and we're going to start thinking, we've already started thinking about it and talking about it internally. If CCA goes away, do we re-implement fares for youth? So something for the board to at least start to think about. A full finance report is included in here, but I wanted to highlight just a couple of things. Our sales tax revenues for May are down 4.5%, up 1% year over year. Chris and I are working on a budget update or budget amendment rather. We're going to spend all day on July 24th doing that. We'll have that to present to the board in August. TDP, we're working on completing our TDP. The financial piece is done. Our planning and outreach supervisor, I believe she's done with her portion of it. That will be posted on our website. We're going to do public meeting or public posting notices in the Skagit Valley Herald, El Mundo, our website, MOA, and Skagit Transit. We will also send it out to the board. We'll send it out to our union for review, just for public comment. Public comment period will be July 19th through August 21st. And then of course, people can respond via email or written through snail mail. They'll also have an opportunity to respond at the next board meeting, 30-day review, and then have you guys report, approve it. Then it has to be given to the state by September 1st. Community events, Commissioner Wiesen, Pioneer Picnic, O'Connor, August 1st. We have National Nights Out in Mount Vernon, August 6th. Skagit County Family Resource Fair, August 8th. Step the Bus Diaper Drive, August 8th. Senior Day in the Park, August 15th. Reading and Resources on the Field, Cedar Woolley, August 15th. Community Connect event in Concrete, August 23rd. And the Burlington Edison Back to School Fair, August 24th. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Judy Jones, do you have anything to report?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yes, I'll make it really brief because we, okay, there we go. Okay, so the thing about it is we now have a full slate of members with Irene Prokuski being the newest. And this is the first time since I've been in office that we have a full slate of members. We have had 7 new members since I've been voted in. So I'm excited about that. And thanks to IT for helping to publicize that. And for Crystal with Skagit Transit to just really help get things going for us over the past year or so. Okay, the other thing too is thanks to one of our members who's volunteered, we've gotten some glitch issues worked out between WTA and Skagit Transit on the connector rides with some of the passes. One of the things members want to see is they want to see park and ride names listed in sort of like a overview map on the website. So this is one of the things that we're asking about. Another concern that members have is because of the opening of the Linwood Light Rail Station in September. We really need to understand what routes are actually going to be taken, you know, like the most efficient ones, you know, what is actually going to work best for ridership. And I've also had personally community feedback asking about like, what's going to happen when this new station opens? How's this going to work? So this is something that it's a question actually that's been asked for years and nothing has happened, you know, since I've been chair. So this is something that really should be looked at. Our next meeting is August the 13th, and any of you are welcome to attend. We would love to have you. Judy Jones, Chair, CAC Chair.
Great. Judy's always good to see you. Thank you. Appreciate
Hey,
your
thank
work.
you too.
Appreciate it very much. All right. Laura, happy trails. Mary, welcome. Good to have you here. And with that, we are adjourned.